Once upon a time, in a kingdom brimming with life and opportunity, there lived a man named Leo. But for Leo, life felt anything but full. He was a kind man, a gentle soul, but he was also very skinny. In those days, a man's worth was often measured by his strength, his brawn, his ability to perform hard labor. To get a good job, you had to be muscular, and Leo, well, he was not. He would wake up each morning with a hopeful heart, dressing in his best clothes to attend countless interviews. He'd walk from the blacksmith to the shipyard, from the lumber mill to the royal guard. But the answer was always the same. "We need a strong man, Leo," they'd say, their eyes glancing over his slight frame with a hint of pity. "Someone who can lift, carry, and endure." Each rejection was a heavy blow, chipping away at his confidence, until he felt smaller than he already was. His struggles didn't end with work. Leo longed for a family, for the warmth of a loving partner. But in a land where strength signaled prosperity and security, no woman wanted to marry a poor, skinny man who couldn't even secure a steady job. He'd watch couples stroll through the market, their hands intertwined, a quiet ache settling deep in his chest. Loneliness became his closest companion, a constant shadow that followed him everywhere he went. One evening, overwhelmed by despair, Leo fell to his knees. The weight of his failures was crushing him. With tears streaming down his face, he looked up at the heavens and prayed with every ounce of sincerity he had left. "Oh God," he cried out, his voice cracking with emotion. "I've tried so hard, but I'm failing at everything. I'm weak, I'm poor, I'm alone. Please, I need your help. Show me a way." A profound silence filled the room. And in that quiet, a voice seemed to echo not in his ears, but in his heart. It was a voice of immense calm and authority. "My son," the voice said, "I have heard your prayer." Leo's heart leaped. "Do you see that large rock in the field in front of your house?" Leo scrambled to his window. There it was, a colossal boulder, a landmark in the village, as big as a small house. It had sat there for as long as anyone could remember, an immovable part of the landscape. He looked at the rock, then at his own thin arms. He was filled with utter disbelief. "Oh my God," he whispered, his hope instantly draining away. "I am just a weak man. How could I possibly move a rock that huge?" "It's impossible." The voice in his heart was patient but firm. "Leo, do you want a job? Do you want the life you pray for?" "Yes, Lord. More than anything," Leo replied desperately. "Then go and push that rock," God said. The command was simple, yet it felt like the most absurd and difficult task in the world. Confusion swirled within him, but his desperation was greater than his doubt. If this was the path laid out for him, he had to walk it. The very next morning, before the sun had even kissed the horizon, Leo went out to the massive boulder. He placed his palms against its cold, rough surface, took a deep breath, and pushed. He strained with all his might, his muscles screaming in protest, his feet slipping in the dirt, but the rock, it didn't budge, not even a millimeter. Days turned into weeks. Every single day, from sunrise to sunset, Leo was there, pushing the rock. He pushed through the morning chill and the afternoon heat. He pushed until his muscles ached and his hands were raw and blistered. And every single day, the rock remained perfectly still. Soon, the villagers started to notice. At first, it was just curious glances. Then the whispers began. "Look at Leo," they'd say, pushing that rock. "Has he lost his mind?" The whispers grew into open laughter. Children would point at him, shouting, "Look at the crazy man trying to move a mountain." He became a spectacle, a source of amusement for the entire kingdom. They called him hopeless, a fool, chasing an impossible dream. The humiliation was a heavy burden, but the memory of that divine command kept him going. Months rolled by, turning into a year, then two. The laughter of the villagers slowly faded into something colder: disgust. They no longer saw him as a harmless fool, but as a stubborn outcast, a disgrace who refused to accept his lot in life. They'd look at him with contempt as they passed by. His isolation was now complete. He was not just the skinny man or the jobless man. He was Leo, the man who senselessly pushed a rock. After 3 long, grueling years, Leo's spirit finally broke. He was exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally. He dragged his tired body home, fell to his knees, and cried out to God once more. "I can't do this anymore," he sobbed. "For 3 years, I have obeyed. I have pushed that rock every single day, and what has it gotten me? Nothing. The rock hasn't moved an inch, and I have become a laughingstock for the entire kingdom. I've been mocked, ridiculed, and shunned. Oh my God, I cannot move that rock. I have failed. A deep sense of peace once again enveloped him as the divine voice spoke in his heart. Leo, it said gently, who told you that your task was to move the rock? Leo was confused. But you told me to push it. Yes, God replied. I told you to push. Now stand up and look at your reflection in the water. Hesitantly, Leo walked over to a nearby trough filled with rainwater. He peered in, and for a moment he didn't recognize the man staring back at him. His shoulders were broad and powerful. His arms were thick, with defined muscle. His chest and back were solid and strong, forged by 3 years of constant, relentless effort. His entire body had been transformed. He was no longer the skinny, frail man who had started this journey. He was, without a doubt, the most masculine and powerful person in the entire kingdom. In that moment, everything became clear. The rock was never meant to be moved. The rock was the tool, the process of pushing, the daily struggle, the unwavering commitment that was the true purpose. It wasn't about changing his circumstances immediately. It was about changing himself first. He had been so focused on the immovable object that he hadn't noticed the incredible transformation happening within him. The next day, a notice was posted in the town square. The King's Royal Guard was looking for a new captain, a position that required unparalleled strength and endurance. With newfound confidence, Leo walked into the tryouts. The other men, who had once mocked him, now stared in awe at his powerful physique. He effortlessly passed every test of strength, lifting weights and performing feats that no one else could match. He was given the job on the spot. With his new prestigious role came respect, admiration, and a handsome wage. It wasn't long before a wonderful woman, who saw the strength of his character as well as his body, fell in love with him. He got the job, he got the wife, he got the life he had always prayed for. Leo learned that day that sometimes when we face an impossible rock in our lives, a challenge that seems too big to overcome, the goal isn't necessarily to move the rock. The goal is to let the rock move us. It's in the pushing, the trying, the daily effort that we build the strength we need to become the person capable of achieving our dreams. So when you face your own boulder, don't despair if it doesn't budge. Just keep pushing. You might be surprised by who you become in the process. Thank you so much for watching Storytime by us, Sonakyle. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that inspires and uplifts. See you in the next one.